Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dr. Master Marino's Science Fiction Experience. Sorry if the video is going to be a little crude today. We're working with what we got as we are in self-quarantine at the moment. If you actually saw my rig and setup, you'd laugh, but hey, we're going to make it work. So our topic today is science fiction and comic book villains that we really like. And ultimately, my premise is going to be you like them because you get them. You understand them. And in this very Shakespearean sense, what we're going to look at with all of these characters, what they all share is there's something identifiable about them, and we're rooting for them until there's a point where we aren't, which is where all Shakespeare villains end up. We're with them until they push us to a point where we cannot follow them anymore. And so that's really where a lot of this is going to boil down to today. So we're going to look at four specifically. So the first one we're going to look at is Magneto. And Magneto is a character who's very easy to identify with. Now first, why do we like him? We like him from the simple premise that he looks cool. You know, when you're dealing with science fiction, comic book, it's an art. And it is a visual art as much as it is a storytelling art. So if the look is not right, we're not into this. And so in all of his representations, let's face it, that helmet looks awesome. There's a lot about him we like. In the film industry, we've been very lucky to have him portrayed by some really outstanding actors who bring such tremendous presence and personality to him. Now, why do we like him? Why do we get him? We can sympathize with him, we can understand him because he's an oppressed person. His being particularly horrific, you know, he's a Holocaust survivor, and from that point of view, he's already has goodwill on his back because we're with him on that one. We're saying, no, we get it. You have seen horrors in this world. You have seen what it's like when people are oppressed, singled out, and, you know, exterminated effectively simply for being different. And so we understand why he feels the way that he does. We understand why he takes drastic actions because he is propelled by rather catastrophic human events. However, there comes a point where he pushes us too far. And the flaw in his own logic is that what he's calling for is something that is similar to what he experienced himself. See, all of these villains, they see the world as being unjust and they want to make it more just. However, his methodology is too similar to what he himself experienced, and it's why we can't really go with him anymore. And he pushes us to that Shakespearean breaking point. Next one on our list is, of course, the iconic Joker. Now, I can't tell you anything about the Joker that hasn't probably been said several times already. And for me, what I'm going to say about him is why he fits into context so well here. So what he does is we like him for a lot of reasons. First of all, the look is amazing. You know, albeit Cesar Romero's ridiculously painted mustache aside, most of the Joker looks have been good. Why? Clowns are terrifying. And I like the way they describe it in The Dark Knight, where they describe his clown makeup as being more like war paint, designed to particularly frighten people. There's a lot about him we like. We like the fact that he does whatever he wants. In this very existential sense, he is the master of his own destiny. You know, he is someone that speaks to our experience when we don't like the rules. Comic book and sci-fi fans very often tend to be rule followers to a point, but what they particularly despise is they despise you know, rather arbitrary social rules because they tend to oppress them and shut them out. This is a character who issues all of those rules, says do whatever you want and let chaos reign. We're with him up to a point. The problem is when that chaos then devolves into violence and mayhem and murder, it's very hard for most people to follow that. So we're with him up to that point of we want to be able to make our own rules, we want to be able to do what we want, look how we want, express ourselves the way we want, but to the point where we start visiting violence on others is a point where a lot of us draw the line. Then we look at someone like Thanos. I mean, and let's face it, one of the most popular characters we're dealing with in the last several years is Thanos. Why is he so popular? Why are we so into him? First, you know, he looks great. You know, he's big, he's strong, he's powerful, he wears this, you know, warrior's armor. You gotta love this guy. And by the time he starts acquiring all that power, we wish we had that power. The problem with Thanos, why we dig him at first, is because his solution makes a certain amount of sense. There are a limited number of resources in this world. We get that. The way he explains it sounds logical, almost the same way that Jonathan Swift explains things in A Modest Proposal that sound logical until you start taking them apart. The difference is Swift had a satirical point, Thanos is serious about what he's doing. Why is it we can't follow him anymore? Because it's metaphorical beyond just solving the problem of resources. We wish we could just snap our problems away, just make them disappear. And ultimately, the problem with Thanos' plan is that you cannot do that. It just doesn't work because the problem will keep coming back and the problem will keep coming back. He's taking the easy way out, which we're all tempted to do. At some level, we identify with our villains in that we understand why they do what they do, at least the better ones we do. We understand the desire to just want to snap those problems right out of existence and just make them go away. That, however, is the cheap way out, and it doesn't work. The other flaw in the Thanos plan, and this is where you realize you can't go with him anymore, is that when you get up to that point with him, you realize he's exempting himself from the plan. He's the one snapping himself out of existence. He's the one who thinks he needs to be able to manage the stones, and so as a result, he's exempting himself. So it's not really half of existence, or it's half, and although he says it should be random and fair, it's not so random, it's not so fair. And then finally, of course, there is the big guy, the biggest, the baddest of them all, which is Darth Vader. Again, the look is iconic and it is amazing. The look, the sound, the weapon, the power, we love it all. Why can we go with him? I know that there has been a lot of discussion and a lot of anger about his portrayal in episodes 1, 2, and 3. I like his portrayal in episodes 1, 2, and 3. Here is why. You get him because here is a character who thinks he can fix everything. And on a mechanical level, he can. He can fix any broken object you give him. The problem is people are broken objects. Human systems or living being systems are broken objects, and they cannot be fixed perfectly. They can be made better, but they cannot be fixed. And the least of which is, or the greatest of which really, we cannot fix death. It is an inevitability, and he believes he can fix that. He wants to fix everything. He wants to fix slavery. He wants to fix a broken government system. He wants to fix the Jedi. He wants to fix his relationships with other people to the point where he wants to fix the idea of death. And it's why he makes his movement from the Jedi to the Sith. And you understand it. You understand someone betraying everything to save their own family. Where can't you go along with him? You can't go along with him when he starts murdering children. You just can't get behind that. You can't get behind the fact that he turns himself into an imperfect system by wanting to bring about this rather fascist regime. And so you can't go with him anymore. But up to a point you get him, and then even the fact that he hides in all of this gear to hide his mistakes, because then he does what a lot of us do. He makes a mistake, and instead of owning it and asking for help, he just keeps making it worse. So these are 4 comic book sci-fi villains that we get. Here's why we get them and why we're so into them. So hope you enjoyed today's video. We should have some more up soon as we, start to do a little more distance learning, and hope everybody stays safe. Have a great day.